This week, buying an RV seems like a pretty straightforward process, right? Selling one, on the other hand, is a whole nother ball of wax. We're going to talk about the process of selling an RV via consignment that we've just gone through, plus a little bit more about selling RVs and buying RVs in terms of price and what is happening with RV prices as we go into the busy 2025 RV sales season. This is RV Miles.
Chances are you've seen them on the road. That's because Blue Ox designs and manufactures the best towing products in the industry. Just look around. You'll find them on highways, in campgrounds, and anywhere you find people traveling in the great outdoors. From award-winning tow bars and base plates to a full line of weight distributing hitches, adjustable ball mounts, and now they have fifth wheel hitches too. With Blue Ox, towing doesn't have to be a drag. Visit blueox.com for more information. Harvest Host is a membership that allows RVers to take a rest from the road and enjoy unlimited overnight stays at over 5,100 unique locations in North America, like breweries, farms, attractions, wineries, and much more. Easily plan and book your next RV trip and enjoy over $1,500 in exclusive member benefits by joining Harvest Host. Get 15% off your first year of membership with the code MILES. That's MILES. Go to harvesthost.com to become a Harvest Host member today.
Welcome to episode number 356 of RV Miles. I'm Jason.
And I'm Abby, and we are two RVers who, along with our three boys, Jack, Ethan, and Henry, have been RVing since 2016. Here at RV Miles, we talk all things RV and outdoors, from industry news to travel destinations, selling your RV, and so much more.
We're doing a new thing this week that we don't normally do. That hopefully it's going to feed into many of the coming episodes. We are recording this a week before it comes out. So I just want to say that to put a little disclaimer on it. If anything major happens over the next week and we haven't talked about it, that's why it's not on this episode, but we've recorded this one a week before. Really on the same day that we recorded last week's episode. Yeah. We just changed our shirts.
If y'all notice, it's still raining.
It's still icky outside.
Still
Although
icky.
There's a little bit
It's
of sunlight
trying
back there.
But this is in an attempt to get ahead. We're leaving for a 7-week adventure.
We want to pack as much travel into that travel as possible.
Yes. And we want to experience that travel.
Exactly.
And we want to experience that with the boys. So we want to get a few episodes kind of ready to go before we head out. And this is one of those episodes that we're not talking about a travel destination, because here pretty soon you're going to start getting travel destination content for us. We've got a lot of places we're going to and a lot of places we want to talk about with you. But we need to talk about this first, and this needs to get done. And we need to officially announce we no longer own 3 RVs. We only own 1. We are a 1 RV family, and it is amazing. We're going to talk about what that process was like for us. That was a big change. There's also another big change that we want to bring up really quick before we get into the consignment and sale talk.
Yeah.
You want to take that one?
Sure.
Go for it.
Many of you might know that the National Parks podcast, or America's National Parks podcast, has been on hiatus for a while.
It's been sleeping.
It's not because we have intended to not bring it back. We felt the need for it to get a bit of a refresh. And we wanted to approach it in a new way. Podcasting has really moved to require YouTube to be a very important element. YouTube is now the largest podcast player out there, which is wild, right?
Very wild.
So we knew we needed to start a video element, and there's just a lot that we wanted to do with that. And we also felt like we wanted to move that podcast a little bit beyond national parks. It's still going to be highly focused on national parks, but we wanted to be able to add in some other public lands, whether that be national forests, Bureau of Land Management, state parks, so on and so forth. So we are now ready to relaunch, and it's going to have a new name. Part of the problem we've had in the past too was that the name was very generic, which was great for us to get a lot of people finding that podcast early on, and it grew very quickly. But now we've struggled with a brand identity thing where there's like the America's National Park store, which isn't us,
We don't,
and
that's not us.
it's
You
nothing
need
we
to stop
can
tagging us because that's not us.
it's not something we can trademark, anything like that. So we've built a new brand for the show. So the show will stay as it is. All the old episodes are still there
For the most
for the
part,
most
we are
part.
archiving
Some of
some
the
of
early
them.
ones we're going to redo in
Yeah, we're
a new fresh
archiving.
way. Some of our favorite ones were actually the early ones, but we want to do them in a new way with the
Update the
video element, the new
information.
information, all that.
Yeah.
So the show is now called Parkography, and it's not just a show, it's a brand that we hope to build up to be kind of like RV Miles, a news brand that's going to have news content about national parks and other public lands, along with these long form video and audio essays that we will continue to write. That we have a crack team of writers that has been writing for us over time. Plus now this sort of video essay element that goes along with it. So we're very excited to launch this. It's we've got a teaser video up on the YouTube channel, and we've got episodes that are getting ready to roll out, and they're great, and I'm very excited about the look and feel of all of it.
Yeah. So if you are not subscribed to Parkography on the podcast feed that you're listening to RV Miles on, we hope you'll go over there and subscribe and get ready for those new episodes that are going to be coming out. If you are watching RV Miles on YouTube, you can go over to the Parkography, which is Park, P-A-R-K, Ography, O-G-R-A-P-H-Y. Think biography, but Parkography.
Writing about national parks is what it means.
Writing about national parks. So head over to that YouTube channel. Go ahead and get subscribed and get those notifications so that you start news from the parks. If you watch news from the parks on the RV Miles YouTube channel, that is leaving the RV Miles YouTube channel. It will only be on Parkography on YouTube. So if you want to keep up with public lands news, you're going to want to go over there and subscribe.
I'm still going to cover
Yeah.
some public lands news on the RV and camping news roundups, but I'm going to try to keep it more focused to us as travelers and campers. Whereas I've always struggled with some of the news stories that I would love to put in that just really don't relate to us as travelers and campers. So I I have now the ability over on Parkography to sort of expand the news a little bit to be more about some national park stuff that isn't related to RVing and camping in any way. It can cover a little bit more some of the national parks, for instance, that are on islands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited about being able to have more national park news there in its own little area. But if you are an RVer and you're interested mainly in RV and camping news, don't worry, that's not really changing.
No, not at all. And there's going to be some crossover from time to time. It's only natural. RVing and public lands, they go hand in hand. We all love our public lands. And when we started America's National Parks podcast back in 2018, we started it out of a desire to celebrate and educate about our national parks, to tell their stories, to raise kind of a not necessarily awareness of the parks. There was plenty of awareness of the parks, but what each individual park has to offer us, what we can learn from those parks, stories that often don't get told off of the main point of the park. And as that has grown, we are now moving into season or year 7 of this podcast. We've seen the shift. There is still a need for that storytelling and that education and that celebration of the parks. But there is now such a desire to be incredibly informed about our parks. And for us to meet that need, this podcast has to grow. And that's where the YouTube channel comes in. That's where the expanding of our news coverage is going to come in. We're still going to have these incredible stories that are going to be in podcast form. Think Ken Burns meets Jason and Abby. But we're also going to add in this new component. And we really think that welcoming in the state parks will be fantastic too, because they've got wonderful stories to tell. what I would love to cover a little bit more of, Custer State Park and what they do there and some of the beautiful state parks that we've been to across the country. So now we get to welcome those stories to Parkography as well. So it's a new chapter and I feel rejuvenated. Like I feel like
Yeah.
this podcast has just been given a new life and I'm really excited for the stories we're going to tell, for the news we're going to share, for just renewing our commitment in the space of what we do to our public lands.
Okay, so today's episode, though, is not about that. Today's episode
Nope.
is mainly about selling and buying RVs. And wanted to start off before we talk about our experience that we've gone through now selling our two RVs that we were not using anymore via consignment, talking about where pricing is for RVs this day and age. RV Trader, if you don't know, RV Trader is like the largest sort of online marketplace for RV sales. It's private sellers, but it's also dealerships around the country list their stuff on RV Trader. RV Trader is run by Trader Interactive. They have a whole lot of uh, back channel information about RV sales
Ooh.
via their dealership integrations and some of the software and services that they provide to dealerships. So they have released some information about 2024's year in RV sales. And I'm just going to read the sort of opening paragraph here to you. Looking back at 2024, RV buyers showed clear preferences when it came to pricing. Lower cost models surged in popularity. High end RVs held steady, and mid range models struggled. And I
Hmm.
think that is different from what a lot of people would have expected. I think there's no surprise that the the lower end, the least
The
expensive
entry
models are
level.
doing better. But the fact that there's not been a reduction in sales of the high end stuff and that the middle ground is what's been reducing is a really interesting thing. So, high end RVs, which they define as RVs sold over $100,000.
Okay.
So, motorhomes in general are going to be considered high ends. And I think that makes sense, at least for the purposes of this discussion. So, high end models around $100,000 saw a modest 5.3% increase in sales. So that's still an increase. And, I'm 5.3%, that's nothing to sneeze at. So there was an increase in those premium end models. So their big question here is for 2025, will consumer confidence stay the same or will it slow down that trend and we'll see maybe even more of a reduction in the high end stuff? The middle range struggled. $30,000 to $35,000 RVs
Mm-hmm.
were down 22.19%. 40,000 to 45,000 down 15. 50 to 55,000 down 16. 55 to 60,000 down 21%.
Interesting.
So you're
Where's
seeing
the
that big swath there in the middle just dive bombing.
where does like 65 to 95
I mean,
play in all of this?
that would still be included in mid
Would it?
range,
Okay.
but they're just
But
trying to show that like these specific
okay.
areas, for instance, really saw a sharp
Okay. So
downturn
maybe there wasn't quite as a drop off in
for
that
that.
area because it's starting to
I
get
think
into your
as you get
higher.
more to the higher end,
Yeah,
obviously it's going to
fair.
be a scale.
I just want all the data. Give me all the data,
Yeah.
not a snapshot. Give it to me, all of it.
Yeah. So I think that's really interesting, and they're they're wondering if 2025 is going to be any different. Interest rates and financing are going to continue to be a challenge. Whether financing becomes more accessible for people, because right now interest rates are high still. There hasn't been, from what I've heard from a lot of dealers, there hasn't been a lot of people going buy an RV don't care, believe it or not, that much about the interest rate. They should. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't understand the financial ramifications of like what's the difference between 7 and 8% is a big difference.
It's a big difference. It's a big
Right.
difference.
So I'll share this article in the description. So there's some interesting stuff in here. Of course, inflation, if inflation changes, fuel costs change. all that sort of stuff could change what the market dynamics are for 2025. But that the sort of overall picture right now is that that middle range stuff, maybe that feeds into what we talked about last week with the situation with
Yep.
Heartland and Heartland moving over to Jayco, because Heartland, I think, really sat in this mid range with a lot of their products.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be a big piece of that.
Well, and I wonder too. So this is, I think we need to make clear too, this is just looking at new RVs. This isn't really looking at the used market. So this is just looking at the new line of RVs that are coming out, and they're talking about the decline in new RV sales. I would love to see something similar like this for the used market and where people are landing or staying away from when it comes to what they're willing to spend for a used RV, because for a very long time, people were making bank off used RVs.
Yeah. And
So
then
we
for
had a very high resale rate.
and then at some point, then they were making good money, but they were way underwater
Yes.
on
Yes.
their used RVs.
Yes.
But
So it'll be curious. As ones who are in the process of selling
so
to used RVs, it will be very interesting to see where that all lands. Once we hear, hopefully, from the dealership that these have sold. So we'll find out.
From packing lunches to loading up that dreaded RV laundry, eco-family goods environmentally friendly wet bags are the perfect addition to your everyday RV life needs. From snack bags to extra large laundry bags, eco-family goods wet bags are machine washable, durable, long-lasting, and feature a food-safe lining made right here in the USA. We have a set of wet bags in all different sizes that will definitely be joining us as we head out in the RV for our big spring trip. We love not having to buy disposable sandwich bags, and the XL large wet bags are perfect for bathing suits, towels, extremely dirty laundry, and so much more. But best of all, we like shopping small and supporting a small business owned by fellow RVers. Discover why so many people are ditching plastic bags in favor of sustainable, financially friendly, reusable wet bags. Visit ecofamilygoods.com and save 10% with code RVMiles. That's ecofamilygoods.com with promo code RVMiles.
okay, so let's talk about selling our RVs via consignment. So
Well,
if
first
you
we should mention the options we could have gone with. Maybe
let's even step back further and
Okay.
mention what we have, right?
I'll be back here.
No,
Let
no,
me
no,
know
no.
when you want
I
me
just wanted, I mean, for folks that are new or aren't clear, we are on our fifth RV
This is our
right
fifth.
now,
Well,
that we're about to move into.
our fourth RV, and we've had one schoolie.
Yeah.
We can call that an RV.
We'll call that an RV.
But that was a DIY build,
Yeah.
and that's how we started.
So we're getting ready to move into the new Sabre 37 RV Miles. That is the next step in the process. We feel we're ready to tackle that now that we've completed what we've just gone through.
Yeah.
So, but we had our old Sabre 37 FLL, which is what we spent a decent amount of our full-time RV travels in. And then when we decided to do the whole Baja to Alaska adventure, we thought that rig was too big, and we decided
were right.
to buy the Ibex to take us down into Baja and then all the way up the Pacific coast up to Alaska and get into some more adventure type situations.
So
And-
the
and
37 FLL is a 2021.
it's a 2022.
Excuse me, it's a
It
2022
was
that
the first 2022 to roll off the line in 2021.
Yes. So we were in that
Yeah.
from summer 2021 up until January of 2023.
And there was a possibility that the Ibex we kind of thought, okay, this is going to be really small.
Yeah.
This is for this moment in life, and that we would sell that afterwards and then just go back into the FLL.
FLL. So we moved into the IBEX in late January, early February of 2023. And we traveled in that all the way up until essentially now. So we
And the FLL, so we when we bought the Ibex, when we had made this decision to travel, we were on the West Coast when this whole process happened. We weren't here in our hometown area, even though we weren't off the road as full timers yet. We have family ties here and all that sort of stuff. We have our storage unit here, and but instead of being able to bring that rig back here, we stored it in Palm
We stored it in
Springs.
Palm Springs while we were
And
gone.
Jack and I flew to our son Jack, our oldest, flew to Indiana to bring the ibex back to Palm Springs, and
Mhm.
we moved into it there, and then we put the RV with the FLL in storage in Palm Springs. So you and I didn't even go back to get the Palm Springs, the FLL from Palm Springs until after we came off the road as full timers. So it kind of just
Yeah.
sat there
It sat for
for a
about
year, nicely comfortable in storage.
we went back and got it in October of 2023 and uh, returned the Sabre 37 FLL to a storage unit here in the Quad Cities. And it has remained in that storage unit since October of 2023.
We've done some more travels in the ibex. Of
Mhm.
course, we actually found that we really enjoyed the ibex and the space in there. It was still too small for us, but for shorter travels, it wasn't as big of a deal. So we still traveled. Our travels since being not full timers anymore, normal RVers, as we like to call ourselves, have been in the
Just
ibex.
RVers.
So now that we have the new rig, we've still had these two RVs that we
Mhm.
needed to do something with. So we've explored many of the options that we've had. Now in the past, we sold our school bus conversion and we sold our first travel trailer, I think just via Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or some version
Yeah,
of
we sold
that,
it
a
ourselves.
private party in person. We that tends to be the way to get the most money out of any
Mhm.
vehicle sale. We all know this. If you sell it private party, the dealer's obviously not taking a cut of that. But we don't have the time right now to do that. We're getting ready to go on this big adventure. Um, and we have so much to do before we get to that. But we also didn't want to just sell it to a dealership because you lose a lot of money that way. So consignment has always been this thing that's been in the back of my mind as a really good option where you get a little bit more money out of of a RV that you're selling, but a dealer's doing the work of showing it for you, listing it for you, cleaning it for you, touching up little things that might be wrong with it that you need to have taken care of before it sells. That's been something that's been on my mind for a long time. And I thought this is going to be really easy, that we would just be able to do it locally,
No.
and
So
find somebody around here and sell our RVs on consignment. Didn't turn out quite that easy.
No. So when we decided that consignment was the route that we wanted to go, we set a timeline for ourselves and we looked into RV dealerships. We wanted to work somewhere with a dealership that we trusted, and we found one that we liked and went through the whole process with them. It was very easy to do this over the phone. Someone called Jason. We spoke to them over the phone. We gave them the information about our rigs, not only what the rigs were, but also, if there were any little touch ups that we needed done on it, things like that, right there over the phone. They gave Jason a quote for both of the rigs. This is how much we would make. This is how much they would pay us once it's sold on consignment. We felt that that was a really fair price that would allow them to still sell the rig to make a profit for themselves without feeling like the consumer was going to get price gouged on these, because we knew where we wanted both the 43-foot fifth wheel Sabre 37 FLL and the 25-foot Ibex 20 BHS. We knew where we wanted them to fall, where we felt that those were fair prices. And part of the reason, I will say too, the reason why we went consignment was we felt that it was best to get RV Miles out of this conversation,
Yeah, I mean,
to let these rigs sell on their own
we don't
merits.
want, it's not that we, whatever could it, they're used RVs. They could have issues that we don't know about. They could have issues that happen down the road, and we don't necessarily want to get blamed for those things.
No, we're not
But
afraid to
but
attach our names to something clearly. There's a rig that we have designed and helped Sabre build that is
but
called the 37 RV Miles. This was more about like, we Jason and Abby need to get out of the
yeah, and we didn't
way.
want this to be a thing where it was
Like,
like,
we need to we're emotionally
yeah,
attached to these. We need to get out of the way.
yes. So
That was really the big thing.
so what I ended up doing, I called around a few places, but the first place I called was Bish's. And if you you might know Bish's as the home of our good friend Josh Winters, Josh the RV nerd. Bish's is a chain of RV dealerships. I can't remember how many they have, like 18, 22, whatever. I'm
A good
making a number
size.
up, but they're sort of like a medium size chain, still not so big that it's all
Well, we
different
felt,
people
yeah,
everywhere.
we
And
felt good going to them
everybody that
too.
we've talked to that's dealt with Bish's, for the most part, has had a good time dealing with Bish's. And Bish's has this sort of focus on consignment. They do
Hmm.
consignment at most of their dealerships. That's one of the things that they do.
And there happens to be one not far from
There's
us. So we
one
were like,
very, very close to
perfect.
us.
This is
So I
perfect.
called Bish's up, and they have a person or a team. But of course, I only talked to one person that is dedicated to consignment for all of their dealerships,
Hmm.
and gets you into the dealership that they want to put you in. Or that what I liked is they were trying to give us what they thought was like the best dealership for our rigs. Like,
Yes.
this dealership might have too many of certain type, whatever. This dealership is a high volume dealership. You can choose. They weren't like telling me I had to take it somewhere. Unfortunately, though, the problem was Iowa doesn't allow them to do consignment sales. So we couldn't do it in Iowa. And I did try to call some of the Illinois dealers in this area. And I did talk to some, and there were, some did consignment, but were full and didn't want to take them on until like June or something like that.
Yeah.
So it was looking more and more like we were going to have to drive this somewhere. And I was already having such a great conversation with the folks at Bish's that that I felt really comfortable to still driving these rigs to a Bish's somewhere.
Yeah.
So I go through this process with the woman at Bish's, who takes the time to run the VIN numbers and look up the values and stuff. And like Abby said, give us a number. And I don't know if this is the way it works everywhere, but what
This
Bish's
is just
does,
our
and of course,
experience.
this is not ad for Bish's. We haven't talked to Bish's about this in any way. We didn't even mention that it was anything about it. Even though we have a bit of a uh, informal relationship with them, we didn't mention to them that we were doing
We
this
didn't
or
even
anything
tell
like that.
Josh we were doing this until it
So
was
we were
done.
there.
And then I sent him a text, but we waited because again, we don't want this to be about Jason and
Yeah.
Abby and RV Miles. We want it to be about these rigs and we want to get out of the way and
Yeah,
let
just
them go
so.
on some new adventures. So
So she gives me a number for each of the rigs based on the market value that they're going to give us, as Abby said, and that they will try to sell it for more than that, which is their profit, which
mhm.
is so great because then and there what you're going to make. Now that could change. They're at a dealership now. Of course, they've not sold yet. If they're not selling, they could come back to us and say, "Hey, I think we need to drop the price. Are you okay with that? We'll
Yep.
take a little away from that." Somebody could offer something that is below the price that they intended to pay us, and they'll call us and let us know. But for now, we have a decent expectation of what we're going to make and a window for this relationship. And we can back out of it at any time too. There's like a $500 fee. They said they never even charge anybody that. But if we wanted to back out of it, we could back out of it. So
I don't want to drive back for those
so
rigs.
so we go through this process, and it's
We're
very
not
quick.
backing out of this.
It was very quick to figure out all of the details. All they really needed from me was the titles and registration and insurance information, and they set it up. They had all the paperwork all ready and set us up an appointment to take them to a dealership. Now, unfortunately, where we had to drive them was Lincoln, Nebraska, which was like 350 miles for us, something
I
like
think it
that.
was actually 382. It was almost exactly as far as going to Kansas City.
It's like a 5.5 hour drive without an RV.
Yeah, so 6.5
Um,
with the RVs.
So, and we had two rigs. Now, they would have set us up with the transport company
Mhm.
to transport them. We would have had to pay for that to happen.
And they
Right.
had quoted somewhere around $3 a mile
Yeah.
to have it transported. So we were looking at about 1,200 a rig is kind of where we overestimated a little bit, but we wanted to just kind of say, okay, well, look, we're
Yeah.
looking at probably around $2,500 to have both of these transported up to Lincoln,
And
Nebraska.
that was certainly a possibility, and we thought about it. Or maybe I would drive one and we would have a transport
Yeah.
company do the other. But
And so that was
um,
actually, I think, our, if you don't mind me jumping in here really quick before I know where you're headed with the next bit, is of all of the things that Jason was just talking about, that was our biggest headache.
yeah.
It wasn't
Well,
to,
at that
at that
point.
point, at that point, that was our biggest headache when it comes to the consignment conversation, I should say. That was our biggest headache when it comes to the consignment conversation. It wasn't talking to the dealer. It wasn't working with Susan. It wasn't any of those things. That was smooth as glass. It was now here we have, okay, the one big speed bump is we have to get these to Lincoln.
Basically, everything that was our part of the
Basically,
job was
again,
the business side of it. They did fantastic. Everything we had to do was hard.
get Jason and Abby out of this, because every time Jason and Abby have to touch it, it just goes bonkers. So I happened to be on the phone like the next day after this had happened. I'm talking to my friend Grant, and we're chatting, and I mentioned, because he's offered actually to sell these for us in the past, and to help us out there, because he knows we're so busy, and he's offered to kind of lead that for us. And we've never really been able to get that organized, because he's down in Kansas City, we're up here in the Quad City. So I'm telling him, like, oh look, we finally got it figured out, we're gonna do consignment. I'm telling him, and I'm telling him about the one little hiccup that we have, and he says, out of the blue, I had no inkling of even thinking that would happen. He goes, well, I'll come up for the weekend. I'll drive one. I'll come up. And I thought, that'd be great. That's awesome. Okay, this could be fun. Like, he'll come up. The three of us will drive these. The in-laws were more than happy to keep the kids for the day.
It's way better than me driving there twice in a row.
Yeah,
because we didn't want to like do hotels or anything either. So it's like
No.
there and back one day, 700 plus miles.
But we
So
also really
doing
wanted,
that twice would be not so fun.
so exhausting, but we also really wanted to be there when they were dropped off.
Yeah.
We wanted to meet the dealership. We wanted to talk to everybody. We wanted that. We needed the in stamp on that, because
Well, we also wanted to share with y'all how this works.
yeah,
Right.
but we are emotionally
Yeah.
attached to,
We said goodbye.
we needed to say goodbye. So, once we knew that worked, so then it was like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing it this weekend.
Yeah, so they were like, okay, let's obviously they wanted us to move this quickly, because the selling season is now. It's begun, and the if you miss sort of this window of the spring selling season, this is the big time that most RVs are sold. Then you're going to start to lose money on them.
It's going to take longer to sell
and it's
it,
going to
for
take
sure.
longer. So we needed to move quickly. Now, unfortunately, what that meant was we needed to get 2 RVs ready, and they were not ready.
So this was a Saturday that I had this conversation with Grant. And by that Saturday night, we knew that he was going to come up on Friday. And then that following Saturday, the three of us were driving these 2 rigs to Lincoln, Nebraska. So that gave us a window of about 6 days to get these 2 rigs prepped and ready to go, on top of everything else that goes on here at RV Miles. Like, nothing could really stop.
The Sabre we had moved out of, but we didn't do anything after that. It still had some random things in it. It had a few things that we needed to change and fix.
I mean, it had been cleaned for storage when we put it in storage. So,
but that was a while ago. Right?
Yeah, that was, 17 months. But I mean, like, the fridge had been properly cleaned and all those things that, you do to close it up. It was winterized. It was closed up. It was like a little cabin.
Dusty, it needed to be cleaned.
A little dusty.
It needed to be cleaned again, right? It was.
Oh my goodness.
Things get dirty over time, and even if you're not using them, and it just all needed to be cleaned again. We still had the composting toilet in it, and we had removed the dining room table from it. So I had to take the compost toilet out and we kept the original toilet, which was never used.
Yeah, it still had
Somebody
the
got some
plastic
brand new,
liner on
nice
it.
ceramic toilet.
Yeah.
Had to put the table back in. We had like the 2 panels for our inverter and solar system. We never actually mounted. They were just kind of laying on a
Yeah.
shelf. So we finally like something we should have done a long time ago. Grant helped us
Grant did it for us.
build a panel to mount them in.
Yeah.
We split we had taken the batteries out of the Sabre and putting them in the Ibex. Now we split them up so that one is in the Ibex and one is in the
Yeah, because
Sabre.
we still had 3 solar panels up on the Sabre.
No, there's 4.
There were 4.
Yeah,
So we had 4 solar panels up
there's
there.
800 watts of solar on that one, and there is
We
I
left.
think there's 800 watts of solar on both of them.
We left the mattresses. The mattress that we got from
Very nice
rvmattress.com,
RV mattress.
that is still in the Sabre. We had 2 really nice IKEA mattresses that we had bought for the boys up in the loft. Those stayed with.
And nice RV mattress bunk mattresses in the Ibex. So
We left, yeah, we left
but
those in the Ibex.
So we had moved everything out of the Sabre, but the Sabre still had some like fifth wheel stuff in it.
No, the Sabre, I don't understand what we were thinking. So I go in there to clean the Sabre. And I go and I open, if you know the Sabre 37 FLL, above the kitchen sink, is these 3 really tall cabinets, beautiful cabinets. You can store so much stuff. I go and I open them up and I'm like, there are sheets in here.
Kitchen cabinets had like bed sheets in
I was
them.
like, there's bed sheets, a random Halloween decoration.
What we did,
There's that Easter decoration I've been looking for.
we moved stuff from the Sabre to the Ibex, and then it was a much smaller rig, so some stuff stayed
Some
behind.
stuff had to stay
and then when we
behind.
moved into the apartment, there was like, oh, there's some things from the Sabre that we could take for the apartment. But we never finished the process of like, oh, there's some few things that we just didn't want for anything. We just kind of left them in there.
I was like, there's that pillowcase that matches the
Henry's
comforter
old
in Henry's room.
skateboard, and there were 3 scooters in there. There's there's like a grease gun and the hoses and all that sort of stuff was all in there. So I needed to get the electrical system back together. I had to put the battery in there, had to build that panel, had to do the toilet, had to do the kitchen table, had to get everything out of there. So all of that had to happen. But then the Ibex was still camp ready.
We could have left out and headed for a trip. I mean, we had shampoos,
Yeah.
everybody's loofahs. I mean, there was a laundry detergent.
There was stuff in the fridge because
the freezer. Don't
Okay.
make it see.
the freezer.
The freezer.
There was like frozen food in the freezer because
2 frozen
we were able
meals.
because the solar panels were able to just run the freezer.
Yeah.
So we never
turned
shut
it off.
the fridge
'Cause
off.
we just kept
So
it on.
we had to move out of the Ibex all the stuff that needs to go in the new rig.
We had allotted like a day and a half for this. So here's this another tip. When you go to do consignment or you need to sell, learn from our poor time management, a theme here at RV Miles. You need more than a day and a half. You need more than 2.5 days, but that's all we had. And
Yeah,
I remember I walked into the Ibex and I started, putting stuff into storage containers. And I just looked at you and I was like, oh, there's way more in here than I thought.
Yeah. Oh, there was a lot in the Ibex.
I was like,
We were
oh,
able to
boy.
cram a lot of stuff in there.
Oh boy.
And there was a lot. And there's,
What a great little
It
rig.
was.
That Ibex, what a little cutie. It could hold so much stuff.
But I started getting really nervous because, we started doing this work and just around every corner, I was like, oh, there's something else that needs to be done.
Oh,
Like,
the to-do list.
this little
just-
piece of trim needs to be tacked back on.
We wanted to clean it up.
all
We wanted to
little
do it
things.
right. Like we wanted the things that we knew that we could take care of and do right. These are family members, just like,
Yeah.
the Pioneer Ranger Gandalf, Tralee II, and Wonder Bus were our family members. The Sabre, and the ibex. And as we're walking around and we're kind of cleaning them up, we kept saying to each other too, the emotional component of all of this, where you're flashing back to all these things you've done in these rigs, but we really lived life in these 2 rigs. Just like we did with Wonder Bus and with the Pioneer, we lived life. Our family lived and grew and changed and just celebrated life and had heartaches inside these spaces. And it was, you want to do right by those rigs before you send them off. You want to give them that TLC and let them know and say thank you to them for, keeping your family safe all those years. And so
we went through it all. We got it all. We got them
we did.
all taken care of, and
Everything was fine
and ready to go. And then it was, with some fantastic help from Grant.
Thank you, Grant, so much.
And then, the next day it was time to drive them to Nebraska. This is where mistakes were made.
Here's where the clown show starts.
Maybe we weren't.
Here's where the circus comes in.
When I say they were all ready to go, they weren't quite all ready to go. For instance, we probably should have checked the tire pressure the day before. And by we, I mean me. Yes.
No, my eyes just grew.
We had to.
They sometimes do that.
Of course, they've been sitting there forever. That we needed to bump up the tire pressure in all the tires on these RVs.
Mm-hmm.
And, that takes some time to do. We needed to leave early in the morning.
We needed to be on the road by 7
we're trying to make
a.m.
it to Lincoln by 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah, that was our appointment.
Spoiler alert, we made it at 3:00.
No, spoiler alert, we made it at 2. You made it there at 2:40. Grant and I showed up at like 3:10.
No, I made it there at 3:00.
You were that?
You guys were 10, 15 minutes behind me.
Oh, well, okay then.
Yeah.
Okay.
All you guys did was stop at
we just stopped for fuel. Yeah, we just stopped for fuel.
So there was that. And then, we're using a new hitch. We have this new Blue Ox hitch, which we're going to talk about on another date. But we have their new 5th wheel hitch, which is really interesting and solves some interesting problems for certain people. And I'm excited about talking about that someday. But it came with a lube plate. 5th wheels, you need to lube the connection between the 5th wheel and the hitch. And I certainly didn't want to skip that part of
not skipping that
issue,
process,
especially because I want this hitch to stay nice. I don't want to scratch it up either. But obviously it needs to be lubed. And I left the lube plate hanging from
its new home,
the pin box of the new RV,
37,
which is a half hour away in a different storage facility from the old rigs near our new house.
We're storing it out by the new house because there's like a 30-minute difference between where we used to live and where we live now. And that, does not make for easy packing of a rig when you have to drive 30 minutes to load it up.
So this is like 6:30 in the morning when we're there and realize this.
Freaking freezing.
And what am I going to do? So either am I going to drive that 25 minutes to a half hour to get the lube plate and drive all the way back?
Well, it was 7 at this point when we realized
after we started filling the tires and got one trailer hooked up, that's when we really realized it.
And it was like, and because I said to you, I was like, where's the white plate that is on this? Where is it? You need to, don't you need that, have that on?
So the next option was to find some sort of grease that would suffice at a store, and nothing was open yet. The hardware store was not open yet nearby. There's an AutoZone right there that was not yet open.
They opened at 7:30.
First thing I did, I went to 2 gas stations and a grocery store to see if any had any sort of.
And while you were at the grocery store, we just put in, because it was a Hy-Vee and they have a Starbucks. So we just put in the Starbucks order. We were like, Grant and I are just sitting there with RVs. And we're like, can you just bring us some breakfast sandwiches?
Of course, none of them had anything worthwhile.
No,
so I was like, look, I'm just going to wait until AutoZone opens at 7:30. Hopefully they'll have something that works. And they did. So I get some grease that I can use on the hitch from AutoZone the second they open at 7:30, and we finally get on the road.
But our delay on the road was exactly, if we had been able to leave at 7, we for sure would have made it at 1:30.
Yeah,
Like
but
the amount of time we were delayed was the amount of time we were
yeah,
late.
we
We did
we
not
left
make
at
up.
about 8,
We did
right?
not. Yeah, we did not make up any time on the road, nor did we lose any. But honestly, though, it was fine. It did not. They were fine. It did
Yeah,
not
it was
matter
all
what
fine.
time we
I hope they
arrived.
weren't waiting around for us. They might have been,
But
but
we
yeah,
did
so we
call.
did
We
call and
did
let them
call
know
and
we
let
were
them
running
know.
late. I mean, they knew we were traveling
Yeah,
across the entire
they were
state of
very gracious,
Iowa to
and
get there, which is wider than I always think. And so we get on the road and we make the drive. Lots of interesting stuff on the way, and we saw a couple RVs
we
and
got saw an RV on its
on the side,
side,
one on
like
its side
on
and
its
another one
side.
with a wheel off, and
Yeah,
lots of
and
transporters we
a lot
saw
of
on the way.
transporters, a lot of RVers on the road. 80 is a very
We
popular
live right on
travel.
I-80, and we took I-80 across Iowa and
Yeah.
to get to Omaha and then down to Lincoln.
So we get there, we pull up with the RVs. They have us just kind of park out front. It's so quick and easy. They come out, they've got their clipboard, they go through, they open things up, they check all the marks that they're looking for based off the conversation we'd had to confirm that the things we said were accurate. We were really very proud parents, very proud RVers when they walked into, I think it was the Ibex,
It
and the
was,
first thing out of his mouth was, he goes, "You guys traveled in this?"
yeah. Yeah,
Because it
we
looked so
put that thing to its
nice.
paces. Yeah.
I felt so proud. I was
It was
like,
like, did you guys even
yeah.
use this thing? Like,
I was like, we went from Baja all the way to Alaska, and this just, and 5
yeah.
people were in this thing. And so I was very proud, like, that we'd done these rigs right. We'd cleaned them up and given them a good showing. And so went through, did all that, went inside, signed the paperwork. That was fast and easy. I think we spent more time talking about Josh. Finally got around to kind of connecting dots, and they realized kind of who we were, and then we knew Josh, and because his sticker is all over the place. So I'm like, wow. And I was like, I told Josh, I was like, you're such a show off. Like, your sticker is everywhere. But it was a really, really nice experience.
Yeah.
A really
Yeah,
positive
of course,
one.
it's not finished. Obviously,
Nope.
the rest of the process is for those rigs to be sold and for them to, cut us a check for them and all that sort of stuff. And, we'll see how that goes. But they made the process very easy, and we felt very comfortable with it. And even though it was a really big, stressful week of spending a lot of time getting those things done, getting Parkography started back up. I mean, I recorded 2 episodes of that. We're working on the website, all sorts of stuff
Yeah.
going on with that, doing all the other content that we need to do. And then last week's episode of the podcast was late because of it. All that sort of stuff. We got it done, and once we got home, I mean, I
Oh,
felt such an incredible weight off my
I think
shoulders.
when we woke up this morning, I said to you, I said, and like I said exactly what you just said. I feel like such a weight has been lifted off of our shoulders, that there are no longer things in the past that we're hanging on to, that are weighing us down, that we have now, and we have the future, and we have true forward momentum between being able to now send these 2 rigs off, hopefully to new families and new adventures, and then uh, making the decision about Baja to Alaska, and deciding to release that docuseries, to let it go, to make the decision to not do the docuseries, and new
It's allowing us
trajectory.
to focus on the future. And for
And
really, that's part of what you were talking about with Parkography, sort of
yeah,
being reinvigorated by that, and
and
really
we're
excited for our travels, and for moving into the new rig and getting that ready.
yeah.
That's a whole nother thing because
That'll be its whole other podcast
we,
episode.
we
Wait for that circus, because it's
there's some
coming.
fun stuff related to the
The
storage unit we
circuit,
picked.
yeah, the circus has made its way over to the storage unit at 37 RV miles, but we do feel now that there is a bit of rejuvenation here at RV Miles, in the sense that we don't feel weighted down by things that are keeping us from really focusing on the dreams and the futures and the ideas that we have
It,
here. We have so
it
many
we
ideas.
had to get those rigs sold before we hit the road.
Well, because the season was
Yeah,
starting
we
and
would
I
have missed the
couldn't,
selling season entirely. It
but
would
I,
have been June
I
by the time we
couldn't,
got back.
I just couldn't let the 37 FLL keep sitting there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It felt selfish.
Well,
It
and
felt
also
wrong.
we're
Like,
paying for the storage too, all that,
yeah,
which
oh
reminds me, I got to
man.
cancel that.
Yeah, please.
Um,
I'd like that money back into the business, but it was just things like that. And this was not a, didn't know a whole lot about consignment going into this. And I do truly hope that this is the kind of experience everyone has
yeah.
had with consignment. Of course, we are not done with it yet. Once those rigs sell, we will come back and update how that experience went on the back end. But getting there, I hope this is always how it is for people. This was great. And it was fun to spend time with my friend. It was, I rode in Grant's truck with him all the way there. And, we had some really good talks, like things that we just not ever really had a chance, he and I, to just talk to one another. And we had some really good conversations. And we listened to music that we used to listen to when we would go out on his paper route. And we just kind of got to hang out with one another. And that was really great. And then I know you rode back with him for pretty much the majority of the way. And I drove the truck too. And it was just nice to spend time with our friend. And, there's something to be said when you get people into a car, you get on a road trip. It's amazing what happens, the conversations you have with each other. So that was such an unexpected, but just such a pleasant bonus to the whole thing.
Thank you so much, Bishop. Thank you so much, Grant.
Yeah. And, if you've connected the dots and figured out where these rigs are, they're there being sold. And if you want to go look at them, you can.
Yeah. And if you're interested in them, if you've got
go talk to Bishop. Don't talk to us.
Well, if you have questions about them that you want to know, we'd be happy to answer them, but we're not
showing them.
We're not looking to sell them here on this podcast.
We don't know how much they're selling for. We don't know anything about warranties. We don't know none of that. That is all. We can just tell you about our lived experience in it. But as of today and going forward, we know nothing. We know nothing about them.
All right.
Okay, it is time to check the level of those tanks. And this is sponsored by our friends over at Liquefied RV Toilet Treatment, the no BS toilet treatment. Just head over to liquefiedrv.com to learn more and to enter for the Alliance Delta travel trailer that they are giving away. There's only about 1 month left still to enter. So head over and get your free entry. Okay, Jay, what is in your black tank this week?
My black tank is ugly taillights.
Oh no.
Grant and I spent
this is what you and Grant spent
on
your
much of our
time.
drive back, because it was dark at that point, looking at taillights of cars and being like, man, why do all these cars that one has, and Grant's definitely a car guy way more than me. That car has ugly taillights. Why is it trying to accentuate the trunk? Like, who cares about the trunk?
Yeah, you guys came hard at that Prius. You're mean.
No, not Prius.
Oh no, what was it?
Sorry if you own one, the Chevy Malibu. And Grant's a big Chevy guy.
Oh,
we were
huge
pulling up
Chevy
on
guy.
this one. I can't say on
That's
the
a
air
family
here
show.
what we thought they looked like. But we're pulling up on this car in the dark, and we're like, man, that looks like something. All four of those things. And what the heck car is that? Grant is a huge Chevy guy. We didn't think it was a Chevy, but
he has a Chevy tattoo, like a bulldog with the Chevy
we were
emblem.
riding
That's how much of a Chevy guy.
In his Chevy 1500 Silverado, which is really, really nice truck.
Oh, it's his baby.
Really nice. It's my first time riding in a Chevy truck, and it was great. But we were like, it looked like an oval emblem on the back. We couldn't, was it a Subaru or something? No, they have different, whatever. And then he's like, whatever, I got to get close to this. And he gets, he gets in the other lane so he can come up closer. And we realize it's a Chevy Malibu if you want to look it up. But there were lots of cars that just had terrible taillights.
It seems to be
And I,
that that's the design, like that's the one thing that car designers recently have kind of focused on. Like, what can we really make
yeah.
as an individual part of this car? Oh, I know.
It's it,
Let's do
it
something
was
wild with the taillight. It's why I
it's
will
not
never
just
own a Hyundai Santa Fe.
well, they've got the H's on the front too.
I
The
know.
daytime running lights. And the thing is, I really like the Santa Fe
I know you
color.
do. And that
But
was that. I just,
the,
it's so,
what we
those
were what we
taillights.
were really thinking though is like the rear ends of so many cars are just look like afterthoughts. It's not just about the taillights. It's like the whole rear end. A lot of the newer cars love some of the colors out there, love some of the front ends and stuff, but the rear ends, a lot of them they just look like an afterthought. I will say the Santa Fe, I do not like the rear end of. It just looks like a flat wall.
Hmm.
It's just like it looks like a minivan from the back. From the front, it's super cute and modern. From the back, it looks like a
Well,
minivan.
despite some's best effort, we aren't selling our cars anytime soon.
Yeah.
So we are sticking with what we have and we don't have to worry. What's in your fresh tank this week?
So my first tank is something that our truck did on the travel day that I didn't tell you about. So when we pulled out, we did our light check and stuff,
Hmm.
and the trailer lights were all working and everything. And when we got like a mile down the road,
Not even that.
you were behind. You and Grant were behind
Yeah.
me. I was pulling the Sabre. You guys were pulling the Ibex.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
s-
let's hope that the 1500 had the Ibex.
you told me that one of the brake lights was out.
Uh-huh.
And of course the turn signal as well, right?
Yeah.
I only had the right side working and the left side was not.
It stopped working.
you
It
put-
had been working
it
and
had
then it
working.
just stopped.
And you called me and told me that. What I didn't tell you was also the truck told me immediately.
No, you told me. You told us that the truck told you that the left blinker wasn't
Oh, I
working.
thought I just told Grant.
No, you told us multiple times actually.
Oh, okay.
But thank you.
Sorry. I didn't think I told you. Well, anyway,
But
I'm
thank
telling
you.
everybody else here. I thought
was
that
a
was
long
so
day.
awesome that immediately the truck told me without me turning the turn signal on. I didn't do anything.
Oh, that's cool.
The truck said left trailer turn signal fault. So we get down the road, get to a rest area. There wasn't really a good place to stop in this area, so I was hoping I didn't need to use the left turn signal or brake
Well,
much.
and we stayed behind
you
you,
guys stayed
so that if
behind
we
me.
needed to do anything with left, I said we'll go first, and then you come
Yeah.
over.
So we get to a rest area, and I just, obviously this hadn't been used in a long time, so I'm guessing there was some dirt in the connector or something.
Yeah.
I blew it out like it was a Nintendo cartridge and
Oh, the good old days when you
suck it back in, and we're all good. So, but I
hit it a couple times.
that's one of my favorite things about our new truck is that from the app I can do the trailer light check, so it will cycle through them
Oh, cool.
all. And yeah, so you're
app.
you're less important.
I'm out of a job again. Wow. Thanks. This truck is literally putting me out of business.
Literally walk around the trailer and see them come on as it cycles through them, which I know, other
Don't
trucks
need
have. Our
me.
old truck just didn't have that. Other trucks do.
Wow.
So that's nice. And then there's actually a monitor display where you can check the status of trailer lights in there, and
Wow.
then it tells you if there's a fault, apparently, which I think is really cool. Now I want to get the integrated TPMS, but I hate how much it costs. Because we can go buy TPMS
Yeah.
for the new Sabre for much cheaper than it is to use the Ford system, which again, requires you to put the sensors in the tires of the trailer, but it links to your dashboard, of course, so it's all integrated with the TPMS of the truck tires as well.
Mhm.
But it's like $600
So
plus the install.
here's a question for you. How much is it worth to you
For
me
for
to
you
not
stop
be
asking me?
asking about the tires? How much is it worth?
It's worth it. I will spend the money. I will do
Because
it.
when you are like integrated, it does it all. And all I can think of is, oh, Now that's one job I would like to not have anymore.
I also
It's
want to know. So
it'll be,
I do. I think we probably will do that, though. We're running out of time, so I better do that soon.
we're
The
always
other
running out of
thing that
time.
I really want to do is, well, I want to consider. So I would love to know feedback from anybody out there that's listening. Furion has their new camera system, the Vision S system, and the Saber is pre-wired for it. So you can install the camera on the back, but then it also has the side mount camera on the marker lights that
Hmm.
you just slide them in there and they're installed, and then you have a monitor that goes
How
on your
much
on your
is that
dashboard.
worth to you for my peace of mind of
Well, that's why I want to ask people is it if you found it to be a good system and it's worth it. If not, maybe it's something we should just check out and review. We could ask Furion to send us one, but maybe we just buy it and just call it a day.
yeah, I mean, I, having 360 eyes on
Yeah.
every
Well,
inch of the truck and the trailer when we're on the road
I mean,
would be
there are
great.
there is a cohort of people, I know some of you are listening, that think cameras are dumb. And you should just know how to back up a trailer. Um,
Listen, this is my answer to them. It has nothing to do with his capabilities of being able to back up into anything. It is peace of mind for some people in the truck,
No, for
and that's
me,
fine.
as somebody backing up, it's just more
Just,
information is
my
better.
God, just let people do their RV life.
What it does for me is it saves me from getting out of the cab, walking around looking, going back, getting out of the cab, walking around looking, going back, getting around the cab. When you are backing up into a site and you can't see the far side of, you can see the inside of your turn, but not the outside of it.
Well, I
But
know
you've got a
that's,
camera over there to see it.
yeah, especially when you're at Fort Wilderness.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just trying to squeeze
I
into
mean,
that site.
the cameras, the thing that I will never give up on another truck is the 360-degree camera system.
Oh, all day, every day.
Having because our last
Amazing.
truck just had the rear camera. Well, not our last one, the Tremor.
Yeah.
Our last truck that we had for like 3 months doesn't count.
No, we don't consider that
The
our
Tremor
truck.
just had the rear camera.
Yeah.
Having the 360 system with the overhead view and the front camera in particular, the front camera is fantastic because you think you're like right up on the car in front of you at a parking spot or on the curb or whatever it is there. The mobile order sign at the McDonald's.
Yes.
You think you're right up
You're
on
not
that
there.
thing. You've got like 3 feet. The
tell
camera
me
makes
about
all
it.
the difference in the world. I love the camera, so I would love to try out the cameras on the trailer as well.
All right. Very cool.
What is in your fresh tank? Black tank. What order do we do this
We
again?
do black. And
What's
then
in
we
your
do,
black tank this week?
We've only been doing this for like 3 years. It goes black and then it goes fresh.
Go.
I know they're listening. Loan officers that keep calling me want to talk to me about the status of my loan.
Those aren't real loan
Stop.
officers. Those are fake loan officers.
I know. Stop. I don't know if anyone else is experiencing this, but I have done, whoever sold my number, I will find you. I will find you because all of the sudden I'm getting phone calls and they're not P spams anymore. They're like legit looking numbers that want to tell me like, oh, hi, this is Jessica.
P spam is an inside joke between you and I
know.
that you just try to use.
Oh, no, we've used it here. It's
Okay.
potential spam.
Potential spam is
P-spam.
our good friend.
We say, oh, our good friend P spam.
Because the phone tells us it's a potential spam sometimes.
Sometimes. Hi, this is Jessica, and I'm just calling I need a little bit more information so we can finish processing your loan paperwork. If you could give us a call back, this is really important. Your time is running out for us to finish processing this, and we don't want you to miss out. So we're missing a little bit of information from you. If you could just give us a call back again. This is Jessica, your loan officer, about your loan that you're trying to secure. Jessica. How do you sleep with yourself at night? That's all I'm asking, okay? Because I know you're not getting paid per phone call. And I don't know, I've done everything I can think of to get my number off these do not call lists. It is not working. I don't know if anyone else has seen an uptick in this. This is happening. The texts, I'm getting
the tollway text. Lots of the tollway
I'm also
texts.
getting a text that's like, hey.
We know some people that we unfortunately fell for the tollway text.
Yes.
they're getting very sophisticated. If you get a text from a tollway, a lot of us RVers are like, I did travel through
I
that
know, I
state.
did.
Maybe they do it differently. Maybe no.
They don't.
It's
They don't.
it's always a scam, 100% a scam.
I'm getting, hey, this is Thomas, the recruiter.
The loan thing is not, it's they don't think you're going to be like, oh yeah, my loan, and give them, they think you're going to be like, oh,
no,
somebody
somebody's
stole my information and taken out a loan in my name, and I need to take care of that. And they're going to act like they're helping you take care of that.
Yeah. No.
When they're just taking your information.
We just need your social security number to be able to look up and see. Yeah. No. And then it's the texts that are like, hey, this is Thomas, the recruiter. And someone passed along your resume to us. And you really look like someone would be a great
Last time I made a resume, it's been a while.
I was like, bro, do you even vet who you're? No, you don't. I was like, oh, you have my theater resume. Do you have my headshot too? What role are you considering me for?
There's something.
That's the only resume I have.
Our friend Joshua just shared in the RV content creators group a scam email that he got, that we also got as well. And turns out a lot of us content creators that are on YouTube, because all of we have an email address linked to your YouTube channel that is publicly available, right? So people strip those and send us spam messages. And it was from Bontrager RV, which is kind of a new RV brand. And it was like, we want you to do a short video for $300 or whatever it is. And, it seems like it's something like, oh yeah, okay, they want to give you some money to do a short video for them. Yeah. And then because they're not paying attention and don't understand what they're doing, which is the only way it's very easy to spot scammers. They were like, we'll send you an RV valued at $11,000. You're like, okay, no, you won't.
Also, I don't want that RV.
Well, they're very small. They're like teardroppy type things.
That's fine. Still, I don't want you to send that. Do you even know who you're messaging?
No, they know they don't.
It's
a volume game.
They're hoping out of the 10,000 they send it to.
They're not even typing the information up. AI is
oh
doing
my gosh,
it. It's all stripped and done.
I love when they still
machines.
Have insert name here in brackets because they forgot to drop a name in. So it just says, hi, insert name here.
Somebody writes a little script to strip all the email addresses from the RV related YouTube channels. They have write up a little email, and then it just gets automatically sent. That's how it's just.
If anyone knows how I can get my phone number, because I've done
the do not call list is pretty much the only option.
I've already done that. I've done that several times. Yeah. And it's not only is that not helping, it's getting worse. So maybe it's the do not call list that's selling.
I do know though, there is a process then within the do not call thing that you can report then, and they get severe fines.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's
if they can find that.
This person. Is just it's really getting out of control. It's one of the main reasons why I hate even answering my phone for people I know, because how do I even know it's going to be really you? How do I know if it's not Jessica pretending to be? I don't know.
All right, what is in your fresh tank this week?
My fresh tank is just that, hey, F1 is back. Yay, I love it. My weekends, our F1 has returned.
Those rookies are
it's rough. It's rough for the rookies right now. It's really rough.
Wiping out in the first turn.
Well, I mean, it doesn't help when the first race of the season is basically a washout. It's just raining. I mean, talk about being, just thrown into the fire. Like, hi, we're going to have you go out and race F1 on your first professional race. Oh, and guess what? It's going to rain the whole time. But we're two races in.
Poor little kids. They're little babies, and they're crying because they let they have millions and millions of dollars on their shoulders and a team that they're letting down.
So I saw an article that the McLaren headquarters cost $300 million for them to build the headquarters for the Papayas.
Goodness.
Not
for McLaren, the automotive company, for just the McLaren division. Racing team.
Listen, the China race in Shanghai that was race 2, there were 220,000 people in attendance. That's a bananas number. I mean, this is a huge popular sport. And it's back and it's great. It's my I love my Sunday mornings. I get up early, I make a cup of coffee. This morning I climbed back into bed and I put the race on and it was lights out and it was like, that's what I did for 2 hours was I watched the race. And my Grant was, because I watched some of the qualifying while he was here on Friday night because we had a sprint, and he was like, what? You're into this? And I was like, yeah. And he's talking to his wife, who's also my best friend, and he goes, you will never believe what Abby is really into right now. And he goes, just think of the most wild thing. And she goes, I don't know, monster trucks.
She was close.
He goes, you're close. I said, no, I'm into bougie racing. It's F1. So that's my fresh take. F1's back. If you're not watching it, you're missing out. It's going to be a wild season. We're having a good time with it. So
that's it for this week's episode of the RV Miles podcast.
Yes, it is. It's filled with clown shows and $300 million papaya headquarters and everything else in between. So thank you so much for joining us this week. As always, if you enjoy the show, we would love it if you would share it around your circles. Tell somebody at a campfire, hey, are you listening to the RV Miles podcast? Are you watching the RV Miles podcast? Just kind of help us spread the word. It does so much word of mouth. Just really everyone trusts. Like, hey, you're going to like this. You should go watch it. Just like I said, hey, go watch F1 next weekend. It's kind of fun. You might enjoy it. So until next week, thank you for Jason. He's like, can you just roll us out of this, please?
There's a point that, I put the music in here, and now we're passing this point now. So that I put the music in here now, and there's a point when you go on too long, and then I've got to repeat the music. And repeating the music sounds simple enough, but what it means is that I've got to shorten the end of the music and shorten the beginning of the second track and link them together at the perfect time so it just sounds longer.
I don't know what to tell you. This is the only time I get to talk where you don't interrupt me.
Really annoying.
Thanks everyone for watching, and keep logging those RV miles.
Bye.